Hello, Full Circle Chat listeners. Before we dive into today's conversation, we would like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, the Full Circle Chat store. If you are looking to elevate your wardrobe or find the perfect gift, we offer a curated collection of premium items designed with you in mind. From cozy hoodies and stylish tote bags to sleek mugs and unique accessories, there is something for everyone. Explore our exclusive range of men's and women's apparel, all crafted for quality and comfort. Visit fullcirclechatshop.com today to shop. Support the podcast, of course, and discover your next favorite piece. Now let's get into the episode. In this episode of Full Circle Chat, we dive into a conversation that transcends technology and touches the core of human innovation. My guest, Josiah Nwankwo, is a visionary leader whose expertise spans IT, biotech, and medical device industry. As the founder of Loop IQ, he stands at the intersection of intelligence and impact, engineering solutions that not only advance technology, but also elevates the human experience. This dialogue isn't just about innovation, it's about transformation. Together, we explore how purpose, curiosity, and cutting-edge thinking can shape a healthier, smarter, and more connected world. Please welcome Josiah Nwankwo to Full Circle Chat Podcast. How's it going, Jess?
Yeah. Hey, feels good to be here.
Yeah?
Thanks for having me.
Man, listen, I'm very intentional about the people that I ask to come on. Mm-hmm. And I look back at my history and our relationship, mm-hmm. and it's been nothing but mutual respect, admiration. You are one of the rare people in our community that's consistent in who you are, authentic in who you are,
wow.
And you don't really let what's happening outside of you influence this. So I knew I was going to have you on. I just didn't know when, right? So that's how I think. But I'm a visionary like you.
Yeah, so we're here,
so
man.
We're here, but we can jump right in. I really want to know if you can kind of walk us through your journey. Mm-hmm. And I know you're heavy in healthcare. The intro kind of spoke to that. Just kind of walk us through early stages and how you got into healthcare.
Wow. Okay, where do we start?
Where do we start?
Time. We can start many different angles here.
Yeah.
But how my journey began, I would say, it's kind of funny because I came in with the typical first-gen Nigerian American, as both of us are.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times in our household, if we didn't go to school and study, whether healthcare, engineering, law, your degree or your career didn't really make sense to our parents and, a lot of different times. So going into college, initially I thought I was going to be a physical therapist. I had over 200 shadowing hours of shadowing at a therapy clinic in Lubbock, Texas. I went to Texas Tech University, and I really thought I was going to be a PT. My best friend was going into school for the same thing, and we came in with that mentality. But after time kind of progressed and I spent those hours in the clinics, I realized that my passion wasn't in a clinic helping people. My passion was bridging the gap with communication, bridging the gap in technology, bridging the gap between people. I was a people person. I wanted to be involved in business. And so I saw that my talents were beyond just sitting in a clinic. I felt like my calling was to connect people and, make big deals and, be a big businessman. So from that point, I decided to pivot, and I used my background, which was in kinesiology, a degree from Texas Tech that I got, and shifted into medical sales. So kind of killed two birds with one stone. I was able to build relationships, meet people, close deals, but also utilize my medical background that I spent 5 years in college trying to get.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how I got into it initially. And I went to, it's a crazy story how it all started, right? Because I was working at a bank in college, broke college student, and we were selling bank accounts. I worked in one of those banks that were in Walmart, right? So if you ever been to Walmart, this First Convenience Bank, we have them in most Walmarts in Texas. I was a teller there and moved up to assistant manager, or assistant supervisor But we had to really go into the aisles and sell bank accounts. So that's where the grit of sales kind of came in for me. It was natural. I was able to hustle people from the money centers to get them to cash their checks and open accounts with us. And that's how I kind of built that resilience. So going into medical sales, that was the only sales experience that I had. So what I had to do was I joined, it's a story, man.
No, I love the pivot, man, just because like you took a set of skill sets from this arena and it translated into healthcare, but continue.
So definitely did that. So I joined this organization called the National Sales Network, and they happened to have a conference in Houston that year. It was the summer before graduation. I didn't know what I was going to do post-graduation, where I would work, didn't have a job lined up. I knew I wanted to be in medical sales, but all the words and encouragement I've got from anybody was kind of negative. A lot of people told me that I didn't really have the back and it would take me a while to kind of penetrate, especially coming out of college. So I decided to bet on myself.
Really? But you got to tap into that, Jos. Yeah. So you had the collective telling you can't do this thing. So what kind of pushed you to say, I'm still going to continue to go after this thing? Because usually, at least from our perspective, when everyone's against it, you kind of buckle and kind of give in to make everyone happy.
Yeah, man, I'm just wired that way. I like to go against the grain sometimes. And I just have this unwavering confidence in myself that I can achieve anything that I put my mind to. So I invested my last $800 literally to go to this conference, drive 8 hours from Lubbock, Texas to Houston to this conference in Houston. They had a career fair. I prepped for 5 days straight for this interview. Walked into the interviews with good lucks, and I left with like 10 interviews. And from that conference, I had my first job offer. Whew. So had a job offer before I even graduated that following December. I'm a witness that there's nothing that you can't do if you don't put your mind to it. Like the proof is in the pudding.
I love that. Similar to your story, it was the same thing in my household. If you're not a doctor, lawyer, engineer, just the typical, you're not going to be successful. But, I was in school. I was pre-med, and I remember this like it was yesterday. This was at UTSA. I took my transcript to the counselor, and they told me, like, you're never going to make it to medical school. And I'll tell you, my story is different than yours in the sense of I believed them. And I changed my major.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Straight like that.
I went from biology. I ended up graduating my bachelor's and master's in health and kinesiology, similar to yours. But when I got out, I knew the clinical setting wasn't for me, right? But I kept pushing it because I wanted to make everyone else happy. Parents, siblings. I felt like I was letting my siblings down because I wasn't, it's just when you're younger, I think the influence is heavy. At least for me it was, right? But as I progressed and got older, I tapped into the occupational medicine space, sales executive, similar to you, and I thrived in that space. And I had to really kind of wasn't showing them, but like through just living and existing, that there's other ways to achieve the same success that, my parents considered success. But you talk about some of these things, but something came to me as I was kind of digging into your background, Loop IQ, something you created. And what was the moment and experience in your healthcare journey that made you realize the breakdown in that post-discharge care wasn't just like a process problem, but it was more of like a human problem worth solving through which you created innovation?
Wow. So Loop IQ, it really comes from a personal place. And I feel like the moment that hit me was before I even knew what the founder was, before I even knew what technology really was, right? Growing up in the Nigerian household and having family members overseas, we often, over the years, have gotten calls that, family members are in and out of the hospitals, right? And the biggest thing for me growing up was a lot of the reasons we're hearing were for things that if it would have happened here, you wouldn't even really be in a hospital, So just growing up with that, right, and seeing that sometimes Family members may pass away from it. Family members may be internally ill because no one ensures that they really have the follow-up care that, they gotten. So just that thought alone kind of brought me to the realization that this is a problem bigger than we actually think, right? And the same thing, it kind of stemmed from business, because I realized early in my career that I was great at planning, but when it came to execution, I wasn't the best at executing. But it wasn't until I harnessed the importance of execution and really closing that loop to where my career scaled. So when I kind of sit back and realize that, the same thing is happening in healthcare, but when it happens in healthcare, they lose billions or people die. I've realized that, execution in healthcare is broken, and I'm going to be the person to solve it with Loop IQ.
I love that. So you were able to pinpoint a problem, and then you went back to the drawing board and you created a solution for the problem.
Exactly.
And I love how it's connected back to your roots, right? People back home, the healthcare, and it just kind of taps into the empathetic part of who you are, which I've experienced on so many occasions, which is huge, right? You're working on these, technology and all these new innovations, but you're also connected to home, the heart. And you're bringing all that together, which is phenomenal. Like, you don't have a lot of people that really think that way. What I've seen from my experience, the pursuit is usually the next best thing to earn. But you see, what you just walk us through, that's powerful, because that's how I think. I don't do things just to do them, just to earn, because for me, is my peace and internal space is so important that no matter what I'm doing, I want to be fulfilled. Like, I've done all types of jobs, and there's nothing wrong with
at all. Nothing wrong with that. It's not.
Right,
please get it by any means. Hey, we're not.
There's nothing.
Please, if you're passionate about it, do it. All right.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just, over the years, I realized, just being around different leadership, working with different people, everything that I do now has to have meaning for me. And I can tell Loop IQ is like your baby, has a lot of meaning for you. The passion is there. You can feel the frequency, the energy, and when you talk about it, and it's excited. I'm excited to be a part and just to see what it develops into. But with that being said, we know that, well, I know that through my research of your work, that it was founded on intelligence, which is Loop IQ, right? So automation and empathy, intelligence, automation, and empathy were the three that I discovered. So, and they're very different forces. So how did you, as the leader and creator of this, weave those together to really create a company that feels both deeply technical and, at least from our perspective, also deeply human?
How I do it, and let me just take a back step. I'm not the technical guru by any means, right?
Okay.
I'm not the one in the lab building it. I'm more of the execution guy. I'm the visionary. And I feel like in regards to technology in this day and age, I wanted to make a solution that not only makes life easier for the patients, but also for the clinician, the nurse, right? And I wanted to make a product that not only gives them that ease and relieves that stress, but also puts them in a position to thrive and puts them in a position to say that they're a part of a bigger cause, which is Loop IQ.
Yeah.
And not only that, when it comes to building and what I tell my engineers and when it comes to adding on features, if the feature does not, one, make life easier for the nurse to, or two, bring us closer to actual action or solution, then we're not going to build it. And that's kind of the two questions that I ask every feature that goes in the Loop IQ to make sure we're building something that's action driven, not in a day and age where we have a lot of dashboards. Healthcare today is dashboard, but no one is hyper focused on focusing on actually executing on the insights that those dashboards bring. But Loop IQ does that. So.
Yeah. Okay. So as you were talking, I started thinking about the name Loop IQ. Do you want to kind of walk us through how you came up with that? You don't have to, right? But if you want to share with the people, how did you land there? Because I love the name.
Yeah.
To me, it's it's transgenerational. You know, like it's just it can connect with the older millennials, like the 80s babies, like people like me, and like the 90s, and then the future. Right, that's what I get when I see that name. How did you?
Yeah, so
that
it's
name?
just like the name speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Loop IQ, the Loop intelligence layer. We're the execution layer for healthcare. The name came along for me just knowing that insight to action is one of the biggest issues we see in healthcare and in technology, period. Especially in healthcare, there's something called the last mile in healthcare, insight to action, closing that loop, right? And sales calls throughout my career, it's like, did you close the loop? Did you close the loop with this customer? Did you close the loop with that customer, right? So it's just been something that's been imprinted into my workflow, my everyday life. And it's something that one day we're going to look up, and no matter what the issue is, they're going to be asking, hey, did you start a loop for that? Did you close a loop for that? So it's going to be scalable.
Yeah.
It's something I feel like is relatable.
Absolutely.
And something that you automatically understand the mission once you hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you just read the headlines or just a brief definition of what it is, you can capture the essence of it. So you mentioned bridging that gap. So you think about turning raw data into meaningful workflows, right? And like it's like, it's a small part of it. How does Loop IQ simplify the complexity so that clinicians and care teams can really act faster, and then in addition to acting faster, act smarter?
Oh, great. That was a great question.
Yeah.
Very great question. Let me just give you my thoughts on that. I feel like there's a big misconception in regards to like healthcare right now. A lot of people feel like people in healthcare don't want to invest in the technology, and I don't feel like that's the issue at all. I feel like they want to invest, but they don't want more work. They don't want more training. They don't want more EHR integrations. They don't want more integrations. All of that can take something that was meant to start within a couple of days, a year to start. So no one wants that headache, and that's why we kind of build Loop IQ around that, to where it's EHR agnostic. We don't need a EHR integration to close a loop and run a full loop. We can get a pilot started within days rather than months. And from that point, the onboarding process is within 24 hours. So we make it easy for clinicians to access this. And then the proof is in the pudding. You'll see a ROI on your investment within the first month.
Yeah.
And now it will become a double ROI model for your business, because you're actually able to bill on a lot of the actions that we're tracking and closing for you on a day-to-day basis.
That's genius. So let's say we have a hospital, they have an existing EHR system. So Loop IQ can come in and be integrated into that?
Yeah, so Loop IQ can work on top of your existing EHR system, right?
Yeah.
We don't need PHI information to get started. All we need is the basics, simple, maybe 3 or 4 questions, the name, age, sex, and the diagnosis. And from that information alone, we'll be able to route the next best care.
Yeah, that's easy, and it's not intimidating, because I know I've been in the healthcare industry for quite a while, and when they make changes to system, like the nurses, the clinicians, they
everyone
panic.
freaks out. Everyone freaks
They
out.
panic.
It's like a big fire drill. And that's what intimidates them. That's what scares a lot of clinicians and providers from technology. So we kind of are built to combat all of that.
Yeah, and in addition to that, there's a lot of resistance, right? So I know you have to overcome a lot of the industry resistance. So healthcare has like this long history of like resisting new technology. It's kind of like you just touched on. How has Loop IQ managed to really integrate seamlessly? It kind of ties into what we just talked about, into like the workflows, and especially without really relying heavily. Because I know you can pull like the name, date of birth, and that stuff. Is that the only thing that's needed to integrate, or is there more to it?
Yeah, so for us to be able to close a loop and run a loop from beginning to end, we need the minimal information. So we're not tapping into any of your EHR type of profile. We don't need any EHR lift. We don't need any training. We don't need access to any pertinent information to be able to run this. All we need is someone from your team to just submit a report to Loop IQ, each day at the end of the day of your discharge list with
Okay.
those 4 questions. And at
That
that
answers-
point,
yeah.
Loop IQ does the rest. All you have to do is log in, view, and watch us work for you. And then obviously, if you want to kind of come in, we have it to where you're able to manually change it and create your own loops, custom loops based off of your specific facility. So we make it customizable to where a facility can operate loops based off of their specific needs as well.
That answers my question, because that was my question, that discharge list. Because I'm thinking, how are they going to be able to get that information to you? So that discharge list kind of answers that question for me.
Yeah, so we have a seamless Airtable. I'm not going to give too much information, but we have a seamless way to where at the end of the day, nurses, care managers, case managers can upload this list and put their discharge patients in that process and own the discharge process from that point on.
Because how easy is this to scale?
Man, the scale is crazy.
Yeah?
The scale is crazy because you have to think, my focus was to start in the hardest industry to penetrate, which I feel like is healthcare.
Yeah.
And once we really slay the dragon and this spreads hospital-wide, there's not going to be a specific unit in a hospital who's not running Loop IQ.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be at the point where it's just the standard for healthcare.
Yeah.
But not only that, it's able to scale into any industry where closing a loop will impact dollars or time.
So is that something you've thought about?
Of course.
Josh is a genius.
Of course. We just take it one step at a time.
No, that's the beauty of
course.
life. So I love that statement, one step at a time. So that's the way I look at life. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It could be business, marriage, innovation. Life is, for me, an infinite game.
Yeah.
So anything I do, there is no end.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's say you make 10 million, you get 20, 30, there's no end.
Until you want it to end.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So when I tell people is, if you're playing an infinite game, you have to play with an infinite mindset. So there's no rush to get it out by this time, that time. Because what I see a lot of people do is play an infinite game, which is life and a business, marriage, with a finite mindset. So once I get here, when you get there, nothing happened, you're going to be disappointed. So you want to be able to create that internal space to where you are fulfilled in the moment right now, and you're not rushing to get anywhere. So I love that about you. But you've been in a lot of different leadership positions, and you've been able to pivot and create something like this. What advice would you give people in similar positions that are maybe afraid to take that step, right, to create something for themselves, right? Just from your perspective, share with us.
I would say number one is definitely betting on yourself. Betting on yourself. I know
that's hard.
It's cliche. We hear it a lot. But the reality is no one is going to believe in your vision more than you do. No one honestly will. So literally bet on yourself, put everything on the table. But for me, God is my biggest anchor. Once you realize that if you don't have God at the center of what you're doing, that you'll never really reach the potential that you think that He knows that you can reach.
Yeah.
Right? So having God as your anchor and keeping that faith very high is probably what I would recommend.
Yeah.
And just go for it. Never give up. Like literally never give up. Never quit. You have to be hyper-focused on this idea to the point where you're even crazy about it.
Yeah.
But that's the only way that you will get through a lot of the hurdles that I'm currently going through, that I'm going to continue to go through.
I love that. So that you kind of pivoted into the question I was going to ask. I'm sure you've come across a lot of different barriers, challenges. What does that look like for you, right? So something hits, something goes wrong. How does Josiah kind of navigate the complexities of those barriers when they come?
Man, this startup world, you have to be able to, iterate quick.
Yeah.
Problem, okay, iterate quick and figure it out later. You just have to take it on as it comes, but don't spend too much time on it. And you have to really know how to prioritize.
Yeah.
Prioritization is number one, but man, you have to be quick with this startup game, and that's what I'm learning. You have to iterate quickly, make decisions quickly, and just learn along the way.
So what does that look like for you? There's options presented, and you just make a choice. So for me, I think about how I used to really approach like problems and challenges. Right. I had this very unique perspective that every choice that I make is the right choice. Period. And it may not look like that to everyone else, but to me, that's exactly what it is, because there are infinite ways to solve the same problem. So if I spend too much time trying to pick the right way, it's a waste of time. So like what you just said, being in that industry, having to make quick decisions, that's literally what I do now all across the board in my entire life. Just the idea of being perfect, it doesn't exist. I think that's more of an illusion people create in their minds. So like you are the epitome of what an innovator is, right? Because being able to make quick decisions fast and just whatever comes from that just leads to the next thing. Dude, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, and really just basing it around one thing. A lot of the times, and it just depends on what phase you're at in the business. Like right now, all of my decisions are based around traction. What is going to lead to traction? If it's not going to lead to traction in some way possible, then it's not top priority of the list. You know, so it just depends on what part you're at in the business.
When you say traction, what does that mean for you?
Traction, we're at a point where in the business where we're kind of building our new wave of supporters. We're taking on pilot partners. We're having those discussions with clinicians. We're getting a letter of intent signed. So that's my definition of traction right now with Loop IQ. Really putting the word out. And, you know, after this interview, if anything resonates with anyone in this interview, obviously I'll drop the contacts, the links to how to get.
No, you should. I think, you know, you kind of talk to us. When is it launching? When should people look out for? Where should they go?
Yeah.
And, of course, you know, all our social platforms we have.
Yeah, so you can reach us at loopiq.xyz right now. Reach out to me, Josiah Nwankwo on LinkedIn or Instagram, Chief Jos. Like I said, we're building our initial wave of supporters and well-wishers and partners and building our team up. So if anything resonates with anyone, anything that we mentioned during this interview resonates with anyone, please reach out to me. I would love for anyone to be a part of this journey and this movement. And, you know, Loop IQ to the world. We're literally changing it.
I have a question that's outside of Loop IQ, because I've known you for a very long time. Yeah. Can you talk to us about, like, how have you been able to maintain such a cool, calm, collected demeanor? Like, this is literally you all the time. The thing is, if people that know you know that, but if they don't know you, they'll think like this is you. Like, you don't get flustered.
Yeah, man. I think shout out to my parents. My parents had a big hand in that. You know? Our parents made sure. I feel like I was having this conversation with my friend today. Like, our parents put us through a lot of confidence building exercises. Yeah. Whether it be us doing the national anthem, Nigerian national anthem at parties growing up as children, or making us have dance competition as kids in front of the whole house party growing up. Right. Yeah. So a lot of things has to do with my upbringing. But man, I'm just a man that's about character, morals, principles, and that's it, man. I'm just myself.
Yeah, man. It's just we need more of you, people like you. And so I want you to share with whatever you want to share with people that are maybe thinking about pivoting into the healthcare industry, or someone that has no clue what they want to do next. Just give them like a word of advice, wisdom, anything you want to share with them. Take as long as you want.
Oh, wow, man.
Yeah, you just...
Big spotlight. I would say, man, just find something that you're passionate about, something that you're willing to go to bat for, and never quit in making that happen, man. Find something that brings fulfillment to you and others around you. Yeah. What it is, whether it's healthcare, whether it's fashion, sports, tech, engineering, law, whatever it is, whatever you find fulfillment at, spend your time on that. You know, our days are limited in this earth. Spend your time doing what you love, what you're passionate about, and then everything else is going to come into place. And then once you keep God in the middle, of course, everything literally will come into place.
God, listen, man, there's nothing that I do today that God is not in the center of it. Because if he's the foundation for me. So if he's not in the center of it, like if you think about a home, if the foundation is weak, eventually it's going to crumble. Yeah. So that's how I look at God in my life, at least. And that's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful way to frame insights to share with people. One thing, it's the energy you give off, right? When you, man, it's so rare, but it's appreciated, and it doesn't have to be appreciated by everyone, right? Just the right people. And the thing is, with Loop IQ, you're gonna draw in the right people, and so like for me, I don't really stress too much about like, oh, it's like the masses. I want the right people to really connect with whatever it is that I'm creating. That's so important to me. And then for you, is there something that triggers within Josiah that says, man, this is something that I'm passionate about? What is that for you?
The impact. Like the impact that this right here has on lives, families, generations, That's the biggest thing. It's the impact.
Dude, that's selflessness is you're creating something to be able to help people, help other people. That's literally my entire life. That's all I know. But that's powerful, man. And I appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Sure. Anytime.
Yeah, man. Anytime you want to come back, you can come back, man, and chat. Once Loop IQ launches, of course, we'll help market it for you, man. Just keep doing your thing, keep being yourself. I'm really excited about what you've created. Thank you for taking the time to jump on.
Thank you, man. Hey, family, I appreciate it.
Yes,
this
sir.
was dope. Let's do it again a year from now.
Absolutely.
Catch up and, we'll share all the great things that Loop IQ has been up to at that point. So let's do it.
I'm excited.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
For sure.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Full Circle Chat. We hope you enjoy the conversation. Remember, you can catch every episode on YouTube, as well as Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, be sure to leave us a review. It helps others find the podcast and also join the conversation. For updates and behind-the-scenes content, be sure to also follow us on Instagram. See you next time, and remember, let's keep that conversation going.